Hey guys, Ren here again. So we know Pokemon Sun and Moon is coming out soon. So in dedication to its release, I'm going to talk about 20 years of Pokemon. Going over the history of Pokemon over a span of 20 years. Anyways, let's get started. 1996. Starting off with Pokemon Red and Green. It was first launched in Japan on the 27th of February on the Game Boy. On the 15th of October, Pokemon Blue is later released in Japan. 20th October, the Pokemon trading card debuts with the launch of the base set, allowing kids in Japan to play and collect something tangible. 1997. 1st of April, the animated TV series is introduced in Japan, which was called Pocket Monsters. In November, Mew made its first appearance at Nintendo Space World in Tokyo, being attainable via distribution. 1998. On the 28th of May, Pokemon makes its debut in the US, appearing at an Electrical Entertainment Expo in Los Angeles. On the 1st of August, Pokemon Satayaimu is released in Japan. On the 5th of September, children in the US witnessed the debut of Pokemon's animated TV series, called Pokemon Indigo League. Later on the 12th, Pokemon Yellow is released in Japan. Following this, on the 28th, Pokemon Red and Blue is released in the US. On to the next month, October 19th, Pokemon Yellow is released in the US. For all the fans of Pikachu, Pokemon Pikachu was released as a pocket virtual pet in November. It featured a built-in pedometer, which meant players had to get up and move. In the following month, they released more Pikachu products. On the 12th of December, Hey You Pikachu is released in Japan. Few days later, on December 18th, the Pokemon trading card game is released in Japan. 1999. January, the Pokemon trading card game base set is released to kids in America. Later, the Pokemon photography game is released on the 21st of March in Japan, called Pokemon Snap. On April 26th, Pikachu and Jigglypuff makes an appearance in the game Super Smash Bros. As playable characters. In the same month, on the 30th of April, Pokemon Seiji Amu 2 is released in Japan. In June, the first expansion Jungle Set is released for the Pokemon trading card game in the US. In the same month, on June 28th, Pokemon Pinball was released in the US. 2 days later, on June 30th, Pokemon Snap comes to the US. In September, Pokemon returns with a Season 2 called Pokemon Adventures in the Orange Islands. This was aired on the WB network in the US. October 1st, Pokemon Yellow Special Pikachu Edition is released in the US with a limited edition Pokemon Game Boy Color. Few days later, the expansion of Fossil Set is released on October 9th for the Pokemon trading card game in the US. With the Pokemon animated TV series being so popular, on the 10th of November, Pokemon the first movie debuts in theaters in the US, with the highest box office opening to date for an animated movie. 2000. Pokemon starts off the year with releasing Base Set 2 to the US on February the 24th. Base Set 2 is a combination of Base Set and Jungle Set, which was never released in Japan. For the first time, people in the US witnessed Pokemon in 3D. On February the 29th, Pokemon Stadium is released for Nintendo 64. 10th of April, the Pokemon trading card game is released for the Game Boy Color, giving players a chance to play the card game against virtual opponents. 2 weeks later, on the 24th of April, more Pokemon trading card game content is released. The Team Rocket set is released in the US. This set was the first set to include Dark Pokemon, with Dark Raichu as the first ever secret card. Few months later, on August 14th, another expansion is released for the Pokemon trading card game in the US, which was called Gym Hero Set. This set released Pokemon with an owner and stadium cards. 1st of September, the Pokemon Puzzle League is released in the US on the Nintendo 64. Pokemon Puzzle League mixed Pokemon characters and fast puzzle action. Following the release of Pokemon trading card game expansion of the Gym Hero Set, the Gym Challenge set is released in the US on October 16th. On to the next month, on the 6th of November, Hey You Pikachu is released in the US for the Nintendo 64. This was the first Nintendo 64 game to use voice recognition technology. 2001 is going to be revealed in the next part. Bonus! Let's give you a bonus. In the 1990s, Pokemon was so popular it made children around the world commit crimes. One big story was that an 11-year-old was stealing Pokemon cards off other kids with an actual knife. People thought Pokemon was evil. They even banned Pokemon in Turkey and Saudi Arabia. That's so sad they missed out. That's all for this week. Make sure to check out my videos. Hit that like button if you like the video and subscribe for more to come.